Southern Highlands provincial government suspended for 9 months. As opposition calls for heads to roll. And Mendi Airport closed indefinitely.
This is National EMTV News with Meriba Tulo.
A very good evening. Thank you for joining us for Friday's news. To the latest on the Southern Highlands province now, and Prime Minister Peter O'Neill has announced National Executive Council decisions following riots in Mendi yesterday. Effective immediately, the Southern Highlands provincial government has been suspended for 9 months, while a state of emergency has been declared for the province with funding of 6 million kina to cover the exercise. NEC has appointed former Southern Highlands Province Interim Administrator Thomas Elu as the controller of the state of emergency, and police mobile squads and officials from the Criminal Investigations Directorate are to be deployed to the province to restore law and order and investigate all involved in the unrest yesterday. In a statement this afternoon, Prime Minister O'Neill said he had had enough of the unruly behaviour in the province and that he would oversee the operations of the Southern Highlands provincial government on behalf of the NEC. He said the destruction of property in Mendi had disgusted the nation and police will be investigating every agitator and persons involved in the unrest. Meanwhile, in a news conference today, the opposition demanded the resignation of Prime Minister Peter O'Neill over the incidents in Mendi. Opposition leader Patrick Pruach, flanked by fellow members, made the call following the torching of an aircraft and the burning of the Mendi courthouse. According to the alternative government, what has transpired in the last 24 hours is a demonstration in the lack of confidence in the government under the leadership of Mr. O'Neill.
Following the unrest in Mendi, Southern Highlands province in the last 24 hours, the parliamentary opposition today voiced their concerns. Opposition leader Patrick Pruach getting straight to the point, calling for the Prime Minister to resign immediately over what had transpired in his province.
Opposition views this has a no confidence in the leadership in Southern Highlands province, particularly and more so the leadership demonstrated by the Prime Minister. And opposition is now calling on the Prime Minister to resign.
They need to go.
Whilst also condemning the actions in Mendi, the opposition is calling on people within the province to also show restraint at this difficult time and respect state property.
People like him, all people, all local leadership on the ground, all Southern Highlands, all get must step in, all churches, now all get our line, all stakeholders, all upside, all he must work one time, now cooling down temperature, all Southern Highlands immediately, and then you miss down, you me talk, you can find in some good plan road. Leadership, blow Prime Minister Peter O'Neill, all people blow immediate, blow Southern Islands, all reject him now. No got more mandate. Blow Sanap, blow flow, blow Parliament, and talk and marking more people blow Southern Islands.
Furthermore, the opposition is of the view that the actions in Mendi on Thursday are yet another demonstration of the lack of respect for the rule of law and also highlights the breakdown in security intelligence mechanisms.
We don't seem to have a national security apparatus in place. Where is our intelligence community? Shouldn't they have warned about this? A threat assessment should have been prepared so that this court case, which what would happen, the reactions and actions and how to mitigate them, they should have put measures in place. The fact that there are no measures or there were no measures put in place highlights the fact that there is a massive gap in our national security, especially as insofar as intelligence is concerned.
The opposition is calling on provincial leaders of Southern Highlands to go back to the province and address the issues directly with the people involved.
Can you imagine a Prime Minister's own province where he is the member for Pangia, the Prime Minister of this country, and his people have no regard for him whatsoever, and they burn a plane in his own province?
In their call for the resignation of Prime Minister O'Neill, the opposition has also reached out for support from the public to keep the government in check. They have singled out the trade unions, NGOs and interest groups to unite in calling for a change in government. They say the actions in Mendi are a reflection of the lack of confidence in the government under the current leadership.
There is already a state of emergency, and that was extended only last week by Parliament. So we need to have Southern Highlands getting down to Mendi and getting the leadership there to resolve the issue.
Heavy come up here. Lo Mendi, Lo Southern Island is just across the border from Hela. Hela is another powder keg. If you don't handle Southern Islands properly, Hela might be next on the go. Now time Hela go, all important strategic economic projects blue too by go one time. When that goes, Papua New Guinea by go one time. Mibla also opposition, Mibla by Tok Tok Law unions separately, Mibla by Tok Tok Law NGOs, Mibla by Tok Tok Law student groupings, Mibla by Tok Tok Law all the stakeholders who sati organized na like Tok Tok, Mibla must boom one time now start up in voice blue me now for a change of government. For a change of government, Mibla must all get work together.
After a long absence, Trade Union Congress General Secretary John Paska says he was compelled to make a statement after he learned that a national flag bearer was barbarically torched. He also responded to the opposition's call for collaboration, saying at the moment he feared for the safety of Mendi workers. He urged the government to take necessary actions to address the safety of workers in Mendi and restore order. He said if nothing was done, the TUC would be forced to involve support of unions across the nation to address the issue.
We're monitoring this issue. We're monitoring this issue, and if the situation warrants, we will call on all workers in New Guinea, starting with New Guinea first, and we will monitor it as it goes along. And if it does not improve to the satisfaction of the general public, let alone the union movement, then we may be forced to call on the entire workforce of Papua New Guinea to come out.
Mendi Airport will remain closed for an indefinite period. The Civil Aviation Minister Alfred Manasseh announced this today and condemned the burning of Air Niugini's Link PNG aircraft. Minister Manasseh said the invasion of the airport and the destruction of properties had violated a number of laws under the Civil Aviation Act.
Following yesterday's events, the Civil Aviation Minister announced this morning the immediate closure of Mendi Airport and a shutdown of operations.
Mendi Airport has been closed by National Airport Corporation. CASA PNG, which is the regulator, has been informed of the actions already, so the aviation industry is now aware of the state of Mendi Airport.
He says the actions carried out yesterday have serious repercussions as international civil aviation laws were breached when the perpetrators stormed the airport runway and banned the Air Niugini aircraft.
We follow the international rules in relation to safety and security. Violating these international rules has a significant negative impact. Attracts almost a penalty of an imprisonment of up to 14 years. We will formally lodge a formal complaint with the police to ensure that the perpetrators are arrested and prosecuted.
In connection to the airport, the Mendi courthouse was also set alight.
Just recently we had a natural calamity. And now this is a human-induced calamity. You know, for me it's a wake-up call for every one of us. Well, what sort of country are we leaving behind, or are we working to achieve?
While the cost of damage is yet to be confirmed, it is already estimated to be in the millions. Another significant cost will be the Mendi Airport upgrade project, which was set to commence this year. However, Minister Manasseh said the government might reconsider it.
The viability of that project is now is under serious consideration as to what we should do with it. And so at the moment, it appears nothing will happen.
The minister said the incident will have a negative impact on the country's image, especially in the civil aviation sector.
These distasteful pictures of airport being invaded, the aircraft being destroyed, will stay with us for a long time. It's never happened elsewhere, and it's happened. So, and this is indeed a very sad day for aviation industry in Papua New Guinea.
Stanley Over Jr., National EMTV News.
Meanwhile, all Air Niugini flights into Tari and Wapenamanda have also been cancelled. Its subsidiary, Link PNG, will complete a full review of yesterday's events and a risk assessment in line with PNG Civil Aviation Safety Authority regulations. Civil Aviation Minister Alfred Manasseh also confirmed that other airline operators have not cancelled their flights into Tari and Wapenamanda. However, that can change in the coming days. The torched Link PNG-8 crew, including 2 pilots, a loadmaster and a cabin crew member, are now in safety in Port Moresby with no serious injuries reported. Here with Friday's news, a look at the day's other stories when we come back. Welcome back to National MTV News. The Papua New Guinea Defence Force has commissioned the first of its 4 aircraft purchased through an agreement with the New Zealand government. The Pacific Aerospace aircraft, which has already arrived in PNG, will be used to respond to natural disasters and help in the deployment of PNGDF personnel for border security operations. The commissioning took place at the PNGDF Air Transport Wing in Port Moresby.
The PAC 70 model aircraft was given a shower down as a traditional welcome ceremony at its commissioning. The arrival of this capability comes at a time when the Air Transport Wing urgently needs aircrafts to carry out its operations. This aircraft is specialized to do short landings and takeoffs and can fly at low altitudes over rugged terrains. In 2013, a government delegation led by Prime Minister Peter O'Neill met with New Zealand government officials. The discussions then focused on building the PNGDF's air element through a partnership between the 2 countries. From those discussions, the PNG government had committed 15 million kina to buy 4 aircrafts. 5 years later, and the first of the 4 planes has arrived. The PNGDF Air Transport Wing oversees security operations in our airspace. It is also heavily involved in the transportation of PNGDF personnel during the time of natural disasters. However, over the years, there has been limited funding provided by the government, which has affected much of its operations. Thakla Gunga, National MTV News.
Over 200 participants gathered for a one-day conference recently to bring together various sectors to learn more about the Digital ICT Cluster programs. In addition, the PNG Digital ICT Cluster officially launched the association website and announced a partnership with the University of California, Berkeley.
The one-day event hosted by PNG Digital ICT Cluster and called Tech Innovate 2018 was focused on the theme Bridging the Digital Divide. This event saw over 200 participants who were interested in examining the impact of the issues being addressed on ICT and users.
We will make decent returns on our investment by applying the right tools to solve our everyday problems. From Microsoft to Google to Facebook and Apple, people are looking at solving everyday problems for everyday people, like my people in the South. And in the process, they became billionaires.
It was also at this event that the PNG DICT Cluster officially launched their association and website. This association will provide a platform for ICT businesses, startups, SMEs, and IT professionals to come together and share ideas to create software and programs within the country.
In the Digital ICT Cluster, we have about 30 plus members who are registered with IPA and who are promoting different ICT services. Not just products and services that are from offshore, but they're also inventing and innovating new systems that are actually solving our problems.
One of the association's visions is to make PNG the Silicon Valley of the Pacific. This was enhanced through the partnership with the University of California, Berkeley, located in the Silicon Valley in San Francisco. The partnership will include the university's accelerator program.
What we do is we take curriculum that has been well established at the business school, and we bring that opportunity to learn that methodology to different places around the world, whether that be to local entrepreneurship ecosystems or to corporates around the world, or an integration of both, so that one can learn from the other. We spent at Berkeley about 5 years developing the entrepreneurship program at the Lester Center for Entrepreneurship.
The program aims to create the optimum conditions for the development of innovative small and medium-sized business in Port Moresby.
Share what we do with everyone. So we're going to teach you to fish. We're going to teach you to do this yourselves and to replicate it.
Lilian Sopera-Kinea, National EMTV News.
This morning, soldiers at the Igam Barracks in Leh welcomed the new Staff Officer 1 for the Leh area, Major Joe Terikian. Major Terikian took over from former SO1 Lieutenant Colonel John Bame, who has served in the Defence Force for over 30 years and is now retiring after 6 months serving in that post. The staff officers for the Leh area are in charge of administration duties and for providing logistical support to other units in the Igam Barracks. Major Terikian says he is looking forward to the new challenge.
Officers assembled in the main parade grounds at the Igam Barracks, led by the outgoing Leh Area Commanding Officer, Lieutenant Colonel John Bagme. The handover takeover was witnessed by officers and families.
Well, my time to retire, so I have to know what the range and move on.
Mr. Bagme took up this post in January this year. However, he is now retiring after 35 years in the Defence Force. Area Commander Colonel Carl Rakone spoke highly of Mr. Bagme, saying he has been hardworking and sincere in his service.
But this time, this posting was very short because of the retirement, so he had to be retired before serving his two-year term.
This morning, Lieutenant Colonel Bagme led and inspected the parade one last time before handing over the sword to new commanding officer, Major Joe Terikian. Major Terikian will now be in charge of the Leh area's function, which is administration and providing logistical support to the other units in the Igam Barracks. He is optimistic about taking up this new post.
Well, it's a challenging job, like in any other career. Somebody has to progress, so I'm taking it as a challenge and look forward to work with the area commandant and the men and women under my belt.
Lieutenant Colonel Bagme was acknowledged for his service and farewelled this morning by a saluting parade. Lucy Kopana, National EMTV News, Leh.
The Chief Justice Salamo India today officially opened the new Buimo National Courthouse in Leh. The courthouse is the fourth courtroom in Leh and the second of only two national courthouses built within the premises of a prison. The Commissioner for Correctional Services, Michael Waipo, said this will help speed up the backlog of cases, which has been the most pressing concern and a cause of frequent escapes.
The Chief Justice said the purpose of the courthouse is to make it easy for the judges, lawyers, police and correctional service to process prisoners without long delays. The Buimo prison currently has 417 remandees, 395 are men, 16 women and 6 juveniles. The new Buimo courthouse will be occupied with cases being heard daily by the appointed acting judge, Justice John Kaumi.
Court will be generating its own list from here. The main registry will be at Leh Courthouse. The list will be generated here, but the same list will appear here, and the judge will be sitting here full-time.
The Buimo Courthouse is the fourth courtroom in Leh and the second national courthouse that is situated within the premises of the prison. The first one was commissioned some years ago in Bomana, owned by the Correctional Services and currently being rehabilitated by the National Judicial Service. The criminal case workload of the National Court in PNG comes from Leh with over 3,000 criminal cases, followed by Port Moresby with almost 2,500 cases.
The risk of security risk of escorting inmates to the courthouse, and also for that not flowing very well, and we've been having a build up of backlog of cases. And this has further resulted in the tension building up in the prison population, and detainees, after being frustrated for long waiting time, were making breaks, and this has contributed to resulted in some of the cases where when they made their breaks, they lost their lives. And I mean, it's only fair for us to be delivering our service with facilities like this in prison.
The building was constructed by a local company in Leh, Houseman Building Solution Limited, and was funded by the national government through the National Judicial Service at a cost of more than 500,000 kina. The Chief Justice said the judiciary plans to build more courthouses in other regions in the country.
So hopefully we should see Kokopo, this one, and the Leh Regional, Mount Hagen Regional Court Complex, for which funds I think have been secured to construct a 100 million kina court complex for Mount Hagen, so that all the regional centers will have good, high quality, modern court facilities.
Julie Badui Owa, National EMTV News, Leh.
This is Friday's news. We'll go for a break and be back with more after these messages. Stay tuned. Welcome back to Friday's news. Turning overseas now, the United States negotiating team in Singapore has begun its sales tour of the region, with South Korea and Japan keen for hard details on what was actually achieved. It's not just a lack of such details that's alarming them, but also what they are starting to hear is North Korea's version of the deal. But the message from US President Donald Trump was, just don't lose any sleep over it.
At the end of a trip in which he upset old friends and delighted old enemies, Donald Trump emerged bleary-eyed from Air Force One, and yet still clearly very pleased with his achievement. A great 3 days, said the president. And later he tweeted, there is no longer a nuclear threat from North Korea. President Obama said that North Korea was our biggest and most dangerous problem. No longer. Sleep well tonight. In North Korea, where the government tends to release news only the day after it's happened, people were just this morning getting their first glimpse of the extraordinary images from the summit in Singapore. The state news agency was lauding Kim Jong-un's triumph and said that sanctions would be lifted as negotiations progressed. In South Korea, America's Secretary of State poured cold water on that claim. There is still a great deal of work to do, said Mike Pompeo, who is hopeful of major North Korean disarmament by 2020. America's traditional allies in Asia, though, are still reeling from Mr. Trump's big concession to Pyongyang, the suspension of joint military exercises between the US and South Korea. Again here, the Secretary of State reassured Seoul that the drills would resume should Kim Jong-un not negotiate in good faith. With the opening handshakes done, American diplomats will start talks with no clear idea how many warheads Kim Jong-un has and no real commitment from him to get rid of them. Mr. Trump might be sure that his new friend no longer poses a nuclear threat, but his generals and some of his cabinet members will take more convincing.
Back home now, and the Royal Papua New Guinea Constabulary has so far certified 57 trained motorcyclists as special escorts during the 2018 APEC Leader Summit. Today it graduated 12 of the 14 cyclists who underwent an intensive month of training. Among the 12, 2 members of the Dog Unit Directorate.
The 12 policemen were presented certificates of participation at the Traffic Office headquarters in Port Moresby today. These 12 motorcyclists will be engaged in the 3rd APEC Senior Officials Meeting in August. Director of Traffic Operations, Acting Superintendent Joseph Joe, says the Traffic Directorate is confident with the performance of the 57 cyclists who underwent the training.
Riding motorcycle is a different ball game altogether when it comes to driving motor vehicle. So it needs a lot of concentration, and it needs a lot of time and effort. And this is where we thank our partner for assisting us in training our men and women to be ready. Yeah.
After 1 month of training, these cyclists are now able to conduct special escorts and control the flow of traffic during convoys of APEC delegations. The routes these APEC leaders will be using in November have been identified, and these cyclists had conducted numerous trainings on these routes.
There's another training that's going to come on, and we anticipate comes the latest week, we will have that require motorcyclists ready, trained ready.
First Constable Esther Kende was amongst other trainers who facilitated the training. She was the first policewoman to become a cyclist in 2011. Since March last year, she has been involved in the training of motorcyclists.
And escort duties also, we are training them on doing outriding. Outriding, it's also like point of, we usually do point duties for men standing on the points and all that, but now we are training the cyclists to do that, to make it easy because of different countries and different convoys. So we are training them for that. I'll say it's brilliant. They've put their 100%, those ones now they are graduating, so they become a qualified rider.
The training is jointly conducted with support from the Australian Federal Police through the joint PNG Australia Policing Partnership Program. Thekla Gunga, National EMTV News.
In a secluded corner in Lay's 4-mile suburb, a small affiliate karate club has been attracting significant interest from the community. The students of all ages train with very little in terms of uniforms and training equipment, but they have big dreams of representing Morobe and Papua New Guinea in the combat sport.
This club has very little in terms of uniforms and training equipment. They learn with whatever they have, old uniforms bought from a second hand, and tracksuits that have seen better days. The training is conducted in a backyard, and the students are of various ages ranging from 6 to 23 years old. But there's something that these students possess that is quite special, their willingness to learn and their determination, driven by a dream that someday they too will represent Morobe Province and Papua New Guinea.
Okay, all ready?
Morobe has one of the biggest karate communities in Papua New Guinea, and senior student Manu Mekere is a shodan, a first-degree black belt who co-founded this affiliate club.
Mr. Benny Mall, big club to me. Sagolo tournament, come up water boy, and then I learned from what me looking.
Manu has represented Papua New Guinea in karate overseas, and he wants to see the same for the kids who are training now.
Griman blomi me like him kiss him la childhood blomi lo me put him come back and lo block.
But there's a bigger purpose for this club.
1, 2.
Together with the co-founding instructor Jacqueline Barney, also a first-degree black belt, their mission is to help instill discipline in the kids who are growing up in a place where alcohol and drug abuse are common. Jacqueline is also keen to see representatives of this club participate in competitions soon.
Inside the community, club and staff, so me training more beginning inside the community.
Me not like implanting. All beginning all by influence law, style block, like steam and drug, beer, just like an Olympic or something.
Recently, karate was made an Olympic sport. This now means Papua New Guineans have a shot at making it big on the Olympic platform if there is determination and support. Scott Waide, National EMTV News, Lay.
The search for 3 fishermen from Hanuabada Village in Port Moresby who were reported missing on Tuesday continues. 2 of 5 fishermen who had gone out on Monday survived the ordeal and are still in a state of shock. Prominent community representatives Dari Toka Jr. and lawyer Boy Samuel are currently coordinating these search operations with the help of locals.
Since the 5 fishermen departed from their homes on Monday to go fishing, only 2 of the men were fortunate to survive and are still too traumatized to speak of their ordeal. Frank Ida is the father of 2 of the fishermen. Unfortunately, only one of his sons returned. Maritime authorities responsible for the coordination of search and rescue operations the Water Police and the National Maritime Authority have not been forthcoming with information about search and rescue operations. Both parties say they are waiting on approval to deploy a team. Meanwhile, vocal community representatives Daddy Toko Jr. and Lohia Boy Samuel are coordinating search and rescue operations.
What we're coordinating here is basically the logistics of a search and rescue. Considering it's nearly over 24 hours since the incident occurred. We've got to consider the worst at this stage. The two that have come back, they've managed to tell us where the location where the boat capsized. So
various organizations and individuals alike have contributed to supply fuel to support the search.
So since yesterday, even this morning, we had to go all out and look for Zoom, and that, because without that, and it's very expensive.
Yeah.
So we've had good people like the governor, and even our own councillors came to the fore. Sarah Howder sent us a couple $100. Ernie Gengoff, John Vara from Trukai, and AJ Lapton just sent us a text saying that he actually has unleashed his own boat to that area as well. So there's a lot of good citizens out there, even the good governor. Thank you, Governor.
According to locals, 24 banana boats have already been deployed. Daddy Toko Jr. said the incident reflected negligence on poor living standards of people living in Hanuabada Village.
The situation, this tragic incident has occurred, but it's another indication of people that are families that are desperate to put food on the table. Even though the situations like this, they'll still go out fishing.
The family of the missing men say they continue to hold on to the hope that the fishermen are still alive. While maritime authorities have not indicated support yet, the search operations coordinated by the community can only carry on as long as there is fuel supply for their boats. Melissa Gaviro, National EMTV News.
And to take us to Trukai Sports, PNG RFL CEO Riyata Rao says while Inter-Super Cup Games broadcasting rights are beyond their control, this is because the NRL is in charge of it. PNG RFL is encouraging media outlets to make available rugby league games on free-to-air television so the masses of the NRL audience can enjoy watching these games. Mr. Rao comments follows queries by MTV viewers as to why they could not watch rugby league games on MTV.
We encourage all our partners to make available all these programs to free-to-air televisions, so this message can go to maximum masses around the country. So there are areas that we have control over. There are others that we don't have control, and for those that we have control over, we endeavor to make sure that this is broadcasted. We participate with everyone here.
Here with Friday's news, we go for a break now. When we come back, some sporting updates in Trukai Sports. Don't go away.
Trukai Sports.
Welcome to Trukai Sports. Bank South Pacific has presented 5,000 kina to support the 2018 POM Squash and Tennis Open in the nation's capital, which begins today. More than 150 athletes are expected to participate in both disciplines for this year's tournament. They will be flying in from Leh, Morobe Province, and also from Cairns to join the Port Moresby-based players. Squash Tournament Director Merlin Alakos-Kribish thanked BSP for its continued support, saying the three-day tournament will see the best squash and tennis players vying to retain the current ranking or better it this year, 2018. PNG Swimming has received 80,000 kina as annual sponsorship towards the BSP National Aquatic Excellence Program. BSP has been supporting swimming over the past several years and have continued their funding this year. The BSP National Aquatic Excellence Program recognizing swimming excellence and covers swimmers from the ages of 9 through to the Open Division. The program includes the Kundu Bronze, Silver, Gold and Platinum Target squads, which gives swimmers the opportunity to progress further in competitive swimming. The sponsorship has also enabled the coaching education program to continue. PNG-RFL CEO Reata Rao says local partnership is needed in carrying out a successful National Schools Rugby League competition in the country. The National Schools Rugby competition started late last month with coordinators calling for assistance from the main body. PNG-RFL says it can only go as far as setting policies and guidelines for school rugby league matches.
Whilst the National School Rugby League competition has just started, coordinators have been asking to see more PNG RFL presence, especially in terms of proper match materials such as rugby balls, goalpost pads, and generally a proper venue for students to play. PNG RFL CEO says local partners need to come on board to support the program.
Needs bigger partners, what Minister Justin is doing at Mosby South is a classic example, a model that we would like to see, talk to partners in the government and especially in the governors of the provinces and local members of the open members of each area, if that can be a model to be sort of worked with.
The National Schools Rugby League competition is nationwide and will cost PNG RFL close to 1.5 to 2 million kina, especially with APEC partnering with PNG RFL to use rugby league to create awareness on APEC in the country.
RFL has actually made it a policy that kids under that age group between 13 and 18 cannot play rugby league elsewhere. Our affiliate leagues are not allowed to play them, and all the competitions we sanction are not allowed to play them. And it's only played, that age group only plays in the National Schools Rugby League.
While the school program seeks to develop future rugby players for PNG, it is also an avenue to keep students in school.
These kids play in their schools, they get selected to represent their school, they get selected to represent the province at the Confederate Championships, and then if they're good enough, they get to represent the region at the National Championships, and if they're good enough, they get selected to represent the country. So it actually part of our pathway structures.
Mr. Saka stressed that the success of the National Schools Rugby League competition depends on all partners working together.
Not just us at the PNG RFL trying to move a magic wand around and trying to solve rugby league's problem. We can't do that. So we need the support of parents. We need the support of our volunteers who go out and run the games. We need the support of politicians who can support the builder infrastructure, provide the financial resources to provide the appropriate venues and, football gear that kids need to play. So for us at PNG RFL, while we manage the game overall and try to set standards and provide that policy direction, without our local partners and stakeholders in terms of the volunteers and the resources support that can be available, that we can't do much.
Stacey Yallo, National EMTV Sports.
It's still on Rugby League. For the first time this year, the PNG RFL will be conducting a national school carnival from July to August. This is part of a new program by PNG RFL to use Rugby League to keep children between the ages of 14 to 18 in school.
This year we're going to go out in a different way and deliver the event under the National Schools Rugby League competition carnival. So what it does is that right now we've asked all the schools in the country to play their games according to their own competitions, and around July, end of July and August, we'll start running the weekly tournaments in 4 provinces which represent the 4 regions.
By mid-year, schools around the country will be gearing up for their regional games. Provinces in each region will send their teams to Medang or Lae for Momase, Kokopo for the NGI region, Port Moresby for the Southern region, and Goroka for the Highlands region. This is in preparation for PNG Confederation tournament in September.
Also, the provinces come and, the provincial selected teams come to those 4 areas between July and August and have a competition, get the team selected, and we'll fly them over to Port Moresby. Over 2 weeks carnival towards the middle to end of September. They'll be here in Port Moresby.
This program will also be a platform for PNG RFL to drive the APEC message within students and the communities as well. And stakeholders have been asked to partner in the National Schools Rugby League competition for naming rights.
It's not just going to be a rugby league only, but they'll be going through some educational programs, they'll be going through some health and then some motivational discussions and all those educational programs, and they'll be all compacted in 2 weeks. And at the end, we selected an under 16s, under 18s team, and 4 days later, on the 27th of September, they fly to Brisbane to play against Gold Coast Titans and under 16 under 18s, and also New South Wales Country Rugby League.
The tournament will not only be about rugby league, but PNG RFL has also included educational programs on different topics as part of its school development program. Stacey Yallo, National EMTV Sports.
And don't go anywhere, we'll have more of Trukai Sports after these messages. Stay tuned.
Trukai Sports.
Welcome back to Trukai Sports. To cricket now, an Australian fast bowler Mitchell Starc, batswoman Alisa Healy, along with former player and also current coach and commentator Dean Jones, arrived in the country today ahead of Cricket PNG's gala dinner tomorrow. And four-time Women's World Cup winner Alisa Healy says it will be great to see the PNG Lewis compete at the qualifiers in the Netherlands and hopefully the World Cup in West Indies. Australia, on the other hand, is already gearing up for West Indies.
Yeah, I visited I think 3 years ago now, to wish the similar situation, wish the girls good luck off to their World Cup qualifiers. So it's nice to be here again, seeing them training and working really hard, and obviously they're off to the Netherlands next week to hopefully qualify for the T20 World Cup in the West Indies. So yeah, really nice to be back. It's great to see you know, those girls and obviously the boys as well, fully contracted and training really hard, and with some really great facilities, and especially in the women's game, it's so open at the moment. Everyone's beating everyone, so hopefully they can qualify for the World Cup and we can have a great battle against them in the West Indies later in the year.
To cricket abroad now, and 17-year-old White Fern Amelia Kerr has scored a remarkable 232 runs to break the record for the highest score in women's one-day cricket. She backed that up with 5 wickets. Some fans are calling it the most complete performance in one-day international cricket.
From high school to a record high score. At just 17 years old, Amelia Kerr has set world cricket alight, batting for the entire New Zealand innings against Ireland, hitting 232 off 145 balls.
Just a crazy day and just can't really believe it's happened.
The Tawa College student smashed 31 fours and 2 sixes after opening the batting for the first time. It's the highest ever score in women's one-day international history, beating a record set by Australian Hall of Fame cricketer Belinda Clark in 1997.
The last ball hit a 6 and everyone was clapping, and I was like, had no clue what they were clapping about, but yeah, found out at the end when I walked off, so pretty special.
It's also the second highest ever ODI score by a New Zealander.
That has got some meat in it.
Just 5 runs behind black cap Martin Guptill's 237 in 2015. But Kerr didn't just impress with the bat, also picking up career-best bowling figures in the second innings of 5 wickets for 17 runs. The performance not a complete surprise to her grandfather Bruce Murray, who himself played 13 tests for New Zealand.
Not kind of unexpected, because she's a very good player, and we've known that for some time. But, you know, just to put it together like that in one game, that's the astonishing.
Her sister and Wellington Blaze teammate Jess equally proud.
I was sort of speechless really with how well she did. Yeah, she's worked very hard though, so she definitely deserves it, and you know, it doesn't come easily. And
Kerr's performance underlies her status as a rising star of the sport. Only last month she signed a professional contract to play cricket in the English Women's T20 League.
With the knowledge that she has in the game, she'll carry on. She'll make another big one, I'm sure.
Kerr celebrating the performance of her life as only a 17-year-old can.
Watch some quality TV, Love Island, recoupling tonight, so it's going to be a good episode.
Quality TV, something Amelia Kerr's performances should provide for years to come.
And that's a wrap for Trukai Sports. We'll go for a break. When we come back, there were the details for the weekend.
Trukai Sports. Trukai Sports.
The weather details were proudly brought to you by Dulux, celebrating 50 years in PNG and the only paint made in PNG.
A look at the weather forecast for the next 24 hours in the southern region. Port Moresby, Daru and Kerma can expect some cloudy weather over the next 24 hours. To the Momasa region, a few showers expected in Lae, Wau and Vanimo as well as in Wewak. To the New Guinea Islands region, partly cloudy for Lorengau and Kimbe, mostly fine for the rest of the region. And in the Highlands region, the major centres, Mount Hagen, Goroka, Kundiawa, Mendi and Wabe can expect showers with early morning fog developing.
The weather details were proudly brought to you by Dulux, celebrating 50 years in PNG and the only paint made in PNG.
And to end the news, a recap of our top stories this evening. Southern Highlands Provincial Government suspended for 9 months. Opposition calls for the resignation of Prime Minister, and Mendi Airport closed indefinitely. And that has been the news, sport and weather for today, Friday the 15th of June 2018. On behalf of the entire EMTV News team from right around the country, have a great weekend. Good night.